How many of us have heard the expression, if you're a man, you need to be a head of the household? You know, and of course you say, when you hear head, you think of head, like we would hear, and that's the brains. So you need to be the brains of the household. But for me, as I've gotten older, I've learned that where I feel the most at home and the most at peace is being at the base of the household. I use a tree as a perfect analogy of this. Where is the strongest part of the tree, the root? Where does the root operate and create the strength in that tree? Beneath the ground, beneath where everybody can see, anybody can see. It's operating out of sight, out of mind, but it is developing that base of that strength. And this is one thing that I've learned as I've gotten older with age. As I've gotten older with age, as opposed to younger with age. I'm not Benjamin Buttons here, okay? But here's a classic example. When I was younger, I wanted to constantly get recognized for my accomplishments. I wanted to get recognized for my accomplishments at work and especially at home. In my marriage, if I did the dishes or I did laundry, I wanted to get thanked for that constantly. I wanted to be constantly showered for appreciation for the things that I've done. And to say, hey, you know, you are a big part, you are major, I thank you so much. But as I've gotten older through life, I mean, because that kind of mentality led to a lot of stress and led to a lot of unnecessary conflicts. As I've gotten older, I have just, I've kind of gravitated to a new mindset. And this is maturing, you can call that. But I learned that just operating in, just to help do things to maintain stability, to help maintain a firm foundation, can help the family grow in a very positive way. Now, as I was doing that, deep down, I was saying to myself, I still want to be recognized for that. I still want someone at least at some point to notice that I've done that. Some point that I've washed the dishes, or some point that I've done the laundry, or some point that I put that up. But then as I got older even still, and I'm in my 50s right now, 50s. God, that just blows my mind. But I'm at this point right now where if my family comes home and they want to just reach and grab a piece of silverware or grab some item of clothing or grab something that you did earlier in the day or something that you've just maintained, and it just gave them a sense of security and peace to know that it was there. It did your heart good to know that, you know, I don't even need a thank you. I don't need a recognition. I see their actions. I see the content and the peace in their actions and their life to know that I played a part of that, and I'm just so appreciative of it. And as I'm getting older, I'm in that, and I've developed that mindset. I am getting a firmer understanding of God's love for me, because that's the way He looks at me, and the way He looks at you as well. Because what He does for you, He doesn't do it to get recognition. He doesn't do it because He demands you to see Him. He just wants you happy. Now, it always does you good at some point to understand where it ultimately came from. But I mean, for God, it's never a factor. And as I'm getting older, it's becoming less of a factor for me. You know, what ultimately does my heart good is to know that when they come home, when my wife and my son come home from working from school, that they can get what they need to get, and it's exactly there. They won't have to worry about, why isn't this here? Why isn't this that? Why isn't that there? If you help maintain this, maintain that, you help become strengthen a foundation. You helped make that ground stable. And it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow. But at some point they'll see it. It may be years, decades down the road, but they'll see it. But then again, that's not my objective as to why I'm doing it. I just love seeing them stable. I love seeing them happy. I love seeing them content. I love seeing them to know that they don't have to worry about this, that, and the other thing. That I've helped make their lives easier, and that does my heart good. And when God works in your heart, he does the same exact thing. And that's the same motivation. He doesn't do it to try to seek self-gratification for what he's done, to try to help you. He does it because he wants to help you. That's it. No more, no less, because he loves you that much. And my motivation is the love for my family. Now, I may not exhibit love the way necessarily that people want me to exhibit love. You know, it's kind of weird. People have developed habits in this year, and that's who we are as carnal human beings. We're not perfect. So we're not going to make people 100% happy 100% of the time. But we can help make people's lives stable. And we do that by just operating in the peace of who he is and who we are in him. And, you know, when I'm doing this, a lot of times I'm not thinking about him. I'm just operating in my instincts. And then sometimes at the end of the night, I just sit back and I think, God, you did the same thing for me. Exactly the same thing. I mean, you did it to a grander scale, but you're doing it not to seek reward. You're not doing it to seek recognition. You're doing it because you love me. And that's the way that you showed it. And it was just amazing to me. You know, we always want to see, when we look at a tree, we never think about the root, do we? We look at how beautiful a tree is. We look how old the bark is. We look how tall a tree is. What's blooming on the top of the tree. We never think about the root, do we? We never think about what's going on beneath the ground. We never think about how that tree was cultivated and the stability, you know, what was used to help maintain the health of that tree, to help it grow as big and strong as it has become, and become as beautiful a tree as it has become. You know, but for the one who is responsible for that tree, it does that person's heart good, or that one's heart good, when they see people appreciate it. When they don't have to seek thanks, when they don't have to seek rewards. You know, we always, you know, in church, we always want to thank God. We always want to do that. And that's great when our heart overflows. And my gosh, and I've been to church last week, and you know, I go to this church in downtown Spartanburg. Oh my gosh. And I talked to the pastor, he knows, I said, you need to have a box of tissues ready for me every time I go there, because I just can't hold it in. Because the worship is so amazing. And it's because my heart just opens up and I just appreciate everything that he's done out of my own openness. But again, it doesn't matter whether I thank him or that I appreciate him so much as what changes his love for me. He's just so happy to do something for me. I just opened my heart at that time. But when we stop and think about the root, we stop and think about what goes on beneath the ground. We need to do that every once in a while. Hey, because that's what keeps the tree from falling over. You know, if you don't have strong roots, that tree's going to topple. Just because you don't see what's going on doesn't mean there's a lot of action going on beneath there. There is a lot going on underneath there. And it could be something that could be very trivial, but that helps make the roots grow deeper. You may not see it with your eyes. I may not see it. Ear may not hear it. Mind may not conceive it. But God has revealed it in his heart. That's exactly what 1 Corinthians 2 says, man. That's part of the introduction to that. Dive down into the depth of who he is. Is this to know the simple things are an introduction to some amazing, incredible things that take place beyond our eyes, beyond our vision. Just to know that the heart of what drives us forward is something that's beyond our physical comprehension. It is part of our spiritual understanding, because we have the mind of Christ. And we have that firm understanding. We just have to operate in it and know how to operate in it. And that's what he's there for, to help show for his Spirit to show us and guide us to operate in that fullness. Oh, man. I love being a foundation. in this house. I love being a foundation in this family. Foundations are not appreciated while they're around, many times. But ultimately, they will be recognized. Ultimately, in the one who's providing the foundation, they operate in the joy of those who they're providing for, to know that they're living in that peace. Whether they see me or not, I don't care. I know that I've helped them out. God bless y'all. I hope this blesses you. This is a message for me, if nobody else listens, because this has been a meditating force for me. So I hope it blesses you as well. I'll talk to you later.